Hello. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good
Hi, Kelly.
morning. How
Good
are you?
morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. I'm just making sure everything is working. My computer keeps seemingly looks like it's freezing on my screen, so just want to make sure the live stream is connected. And it is. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Is that the expression? I was never good at understanding those weird expressions. And I used to just think it was all so literal. And I remember one of my friends telling me that I needed to take someone's words, I think she said with a grain of salt or something. But what I heard her say is I need to take salt to this person. And I was like, why does this person need salt? I was very wrong. Not what that expression means at all.
You wonder who came up with all of these little idioms.
Yeah, like who is, you know what? It's Southern people is what it is. Southern people say some of the funniest things. They have expressions for everything. I love
They
it.
do.
Well, today we have Kelly Featheringham here with me. And if you don't know me, I'm Jillian Conley, VP of Marketing for the CEO Woman. And Kelly is the CEO for the Team Leadership Solutions. She is a leadership expert. If you have not met her, here you go. She's amazing. And you'll get to see that today. We are going to talk a little bit about continuing through our Q1 frameworks messaging or messaging and actions, right? Remembering that everything we do today, we will see the benefits of in like 90 days. So we want to be, you know, actively pursuing the next right thing. And one of my probably most common questions that we get asked or requests for solutions that are out there are usually around how do you like stay motivated when you're not motivated? And the reality is motivation is a feeling and you're never going to always be motivated. Period. You're just never always going to be motivated. So there's practices and frameworks out there that help people when they're not motivated stay consistent. And I'm here with the leadership expert to teach us those things. So, Kelly, welcome.
Well, thank you.
So let's start with when motivation is gone, what's the first lever you pull, whether environment, identity, energy, or structure, and why?
Yeah. I love this. And I love the reframing of it as a lever. So it's something that you have in your control that you can tap into, right? For me, it's going to be structure. Um, I had to think about this for a few minutes because there might be some other ones that are secondary, but really for me, structure is the first one. I think it's important for me to have a very clear understanding, clear path of how to get from point A to point B with a C and a D plan if I can't get there, right? So I have to have that structure. That's how my brain is wired. We were talking a little bit about strengths before here, and my number one is responsibility, and my number five is discipline. So I need that structure. I need to know exactly what I'm doing when it's due, all of those details in order for me to feel grounded, I think is the
Mhm.
best way to put it. And when I'm not motivated, I can pick up my laptop and go to a coffee shop. I think sometimes that's good for a distraction or a different place to work, things like that. But really, if I'm not figuring out exactly what my structure is going to be for that period of work, it's like I can't get started. I have to know. So I would encourage anybody watching, think about which one of those four things resonates with you, because it might be picking up and going someplace else to work. It might be a boost of energy, go to the gym and get those endorphins going or something like that, go
Mhm.
for a run. I know, Jillian, you do a lot of running, so that really
I
pumps you
do.
up.
Mhm.
Yeah. So figure out which one of those, and then, like anything else, once we know it, we can tap into it when we
Mhm.
feel that we need to.
Yeah. I would say if we could all use running as a metaphor for this, if you've ever ran before, and I'm sure we all have at least once in our adult lives, if you've ran in your adult lives, not as easy as when you're a kid. If you ran before in your adult life, you know that there is a difference between sprinting to something and walking to it or jogging to it. There are so many different paces you can take to get to one direction. But if you haven't trained for the sprint, you're going to just stop before you get even close to that finish line. And I think that it's really important for that self-awareness piece that all of us as leaders know where our strengths are, know where our weaknesses are, and then use that information to strategically move us into the next right thing. And, like you were saying, moving your environment or making an intentional effort to create the energy you need in your life through exercise. Or I don't know, if you're an extroverted person, maybe a 15-minute phone call with a friend might be the thing you need, right? Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I can't get myself out of bed. Put somebody on the phone with you for a second. Throw some AirPods in and go do something, go body double.
Yeah.
Um, but I love that having that lever. If you know what the lever is you need to pull, you're way closer than just sitting there spiraling. So I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Now, um, me and you have talked about making lists. I love my lists. I love my sticky notes. I have like my top three priority stickies. Um, I'm a list
Really?
maker. Yeah, I'm a list maker. So walk us through the types of lists that you make to help you decide what moves you're going to make as a CEO. Like, how do you decide what goes where and what's non-negotiable? How do you prioritize that kind of stuff?
So I love Tina's top three, right? I have my little
Mhm.
thing for your three things that must get done in the day. For me, when I organize my tasks, I kind of gamify it for myself.
Fun.
I do one or two things that I have to do, and then I'll put something that I like to do, and then I'll go back and forth. So it's almost like a reward. I feel like when you're a kid, right? If you get your chores done, then maybe you get a snack or you can go outside and play. So my brain still functions like that even as an adult. If I feel like I'm being
Mhm.
punished, it's much easier for me to shut down and not want to do anything.
Mhm.
So if I feel like even the simplest thing, we were talking, I love Canva. I could go in there and play on random things, make a new slick sheet, make a new, I
Mhm.
don't know, whatever it is that I'm working on at the time, update my slide deck for the 19th time just because I want it to be prettier or look newer.
Mhm.
Those are not things that are really constructive uses of my time. I mean, some of them may have to get done, but I enjoy that piece. So maybe I'll do invoicing first because I hate numbers. So I'll do that first. And then
Mhm.
maybe I will do some phone calls and stuff because again, that drains me, that
Mhm.
conversation, all of that. And then if I get through those things, then I can work on the fun thing, if you will, the
Yeah.
more fun thing in my mind. The other
Mhm.
thing I do is anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretzel rod junkie. So I keep them over there and I'm like, the dogs, if I do my chores, I get a pretzel rod. So it's motivating because they're sitting right over there on my windowsill so I can see them
Right.
and know what I'm working towards. So find
Mhm.
the thing that helps motivate you. Maybe it's food, maybe it's going for a walk with your pups or going to play
Mhm.
with your kids. But
Yeah.
if you structure your tasks in a way so that they don't all feel like burdens or don't feel
Mhm.
like drudge work, I think that we move through them a little bit more, maybe not necessarily quickly, but definitely more efficiently because, okay, I'm motivated to get this done so that I can get to the thing that I want to be working on.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. I forget often to do the task before the reward. That I definitely forget to do that part. Like sometimes I think of everything more probably on that energy of a punishment where I'm like, I physically am too tired to do it, or my brain is tapped out for the day, or I've worked so much, I've been staring at my computer, or whatever that excuse that's sitting in front of me that feels too heavy to move around, whatever that thing is. It
Yeah.
can feel so overwhelming. But you're absolutely right. Like if you just start doing like the hardest thing first, the thing that you dread the most, just do that one first and work your way down into the easier things, the more enjoyable tasks to help get that. Like you'll feel really good in your head chemically. You'll feel really good achieving that task that you've been dreading for a long time. Your anxiety will dissipate, your brain will release it. Like you'll be like, oh, I can move into the next thing. So I like that reward system for sure. Now, what do you say to the CEO who's doing all the right things but still feels stuck? Um, what would you say that the difference between burnout, boredom, and misalignment would be for someone who's like, I'm doing it all, but nothing's working?
I think I think there's a drastic difference between the three. And you said this question, I think that we experience all of them. And it could be all of them in a day, it could be all of them in a week. I think the
Mhm.
key is to first diagnose which one it is that you're feeling so that we can counteract it. Right. Because I
Right.
mean, I think about these. There are days when I definitely feel burnt out. There are days when I feel bored, even though I love what I'm doing. It's like whatever is going on that week maybe is just not lighting that spark in me. And
Hmm.
sometimes it can be misalignment. Maybe we're chasing a new offer or we're trying to come up with something that is just not in our skill set, in our interest level. And maybe we need to tap into a resource. Maybe you and I have talked a lot about social media. It is draining to figure out that schedule, right?
Hmm.
Maybe you need to call a
Hmm.
Jillian and say, can you walk me through this? Because this is just not a talent I have and it's taking way longer than it should. And perhaps they're also interwoven. Maybe our
Hmm.
boredom is leading to burnout. Maybe our boredom is caused by misalignment, right? So
Hmm.
thinking about how to, again, I break everything down into the smallest fraction just because
Hmm.
I need bite-sized pieces to process and figure out how to map out my plan to fix it. I'm a fix it
Right.
person. So once we figure out what it is that is causing this, where it's
Hmm.
coming from, then we can start to tackle the plan to fix it or at least to alleviate it in some way.
Yeah, I love that. If you're not naturally a solution-minded person, you need to find someone to be that for you. Like you've got to find a person because every problem, what is that expression? Every problem is figure outable, right?
Yes, Marie Forleo. Yes,
Hmm.
yeah. Work the problem. That I mean, in
Hmm.
my old job, that was always the phrase: is you work the problem first, and you work one problem at a time.
Right.
Especially with entrepreneurs, I think that's one of the most valuable things I brought forward from previous career to this is
Hmm.
we see the myriad of challenges that we have on our desk at any given time in a day and think we have to fix it all right now. And we just can't possibly. Sometimes there's a ripple effect and other things will fix other things, but just work one thing at a time. This is the challenge I'm working on now. I'll fix it, move it to
Hmm.
the next.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's so good. So let me ask you, what what's your system for those low energy days when you need to keep momentum, but like you're not quite, you don't have that momentum in you, but you still have to keep going because maybe there's a deadline or something that needs to be met. So do you have anything that helps someone move through those lower energy days?
Yeah. Sorry. I hope you can't hear my dogs barking out the window.
No, you're good.
I think I'm gonna channel my inner Tina right now because I'm thinking of three things, and I since I've met her, I feel like that's almost like my Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder on those days. It's like
Mhm.
I just have to get three things done. So, but maybe I'm a little bit of a stickler because I won't let them be three simple things. Like I feel like if I'm going to check out for the day or I'm going to spend all
Mhm.
day on Canva or I'm going to get distracted on organizing my desk or something that's really not going to move my business forward in a way that I feel like is optimal.
Mhm.
Although, I mean, really, a clean desk has to help us in some way. I can make that
Yes.
argument all day long for organizing, but
Yes.
I have
Mhm.
to get three tangible things done. Three, like I have to do, so, and usually they're in buckets for me. Like I have to do something related to finance. Maybe it's neatening up my system or checking on subscriptions or whatever to see if I can save a couple of dollars. It has to be something that has to do with clients. Maybe I send an email to a client or somebody just to check in on them and see how they're doing. And then it has to be something related to my my what's it called, my marketing. So maybe I go
Mhm.
in and I send a couple of posts like response to people on LinkedIn, partly because those are the three areas that I feel most drawn not to do. They're the hardest for
Mhm.
me. So for me, it feels like, okay, I've done three hard things.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then it's almost like, again, I gamify it right now. I've given myself permission. I've done three things I really don't enjoy doing so that I
Mhm.
can organize my desk and dilly dally.
Right. I love that. That's so important. I have I like to call it like free space on my calendar where I have like that time that's just for me that's unscheduled. Like it's scheduled, unscheduled time. And then that way that's kind of like my reward is I love structure and routine, but the other half of me fights that really hard. And so it always feels like I'm in a civil war. So, like in my head. And so when I get, my hard things done, I like to have a period of time where I can have like just me time, but it's literally scheduled so that I don't have to go, oh, I have that email I need to reply to, or I need to go make a quick doctor's appointment for the kids or whatever. It's like I'm not allowed to be functionally productive in that time unless I really want to, but like not towards the things that are like cycling in my head. The goal is to actually do a hard reset so that I can go back to work and work really efficiently. Um, I like
I
having that
love
fidget
that.
time. Yeah, I like
But
having the
I
fidget
was going to
time.
say, I remember you talking about scheduled fidget time, and I love that idea.
hmm
That's a really good,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's super helpful. And I also realized too, for me, like with my running and stuff, it with as a single parent with three kids, like I don't really have a lot of capacity to have a routine that's for myself outside of, making a couple of like hard things. Like I have a job, so I have to go to work, right? Like my kids can't fight those things. But what I realized is by putting on my calendar that I'm going to run, I just started going. Like I didn't always feel like it, but I was like, oh, that's the next thing on my calendar. And I would just go just because it was in my to-do list for the day, basically. So making sure to put that somewhere. If you're a visual person, you need this reminder. Like I use my calendar for that. It's very helpful.
I love that.
Um,
Well, and I love putting everything in the calendar.
yeah, me too. It just like helps because if it's not in my calendar, I'm like, oh, I'm free. But if I'm free, I'm always forgetting something so that I'm anxiously free. And that's not really free because you're like, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So let's see. I like to talk about our energy as humans to be kind of like you have a cup and you can fill that cup. People can fill your cup, but people can drain your cup. You can fill your cup, but you can drain your own cup. And when somebody has their cup on like a lower level and they're trying to pour from it, they're depleting their own energy sources and resources as a human. But if they know how to fill their own cup, and they're doing the things that they need to do to care for themselves as the priority, then they can pour from the overflow of their cup. And my question to you is how can you teach a client or a CEO to manage their energy like a resource and not so much like a personality test? Like, what are the like early warning signs that they're pouring from an empty cup versus their overflow? How can we like help them budget their energy?
Yes. No, I love this because this is full disclosure, this is something I've been working on because
hmm
I'm not good at this. Um Most of the time it's, there's the dregs of coffee at the bottom of my cup and that's it
Yeah.
that I'm
Uh-huh.
operating on, right? So
Uh-huh.
I think the most important thing is being able to identify it when that's happening, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
how do you recognize those early warning systems? And one of the things that I've noticed just talking to different people that started helping me figure out how it was happening was that things that you normally either enjoy doing or don't mind doing start to become frustrating or draining
Mm,
or not fun. So
yeah.
it's almost like a shift in, and it feels like a personality conflict. Like, wait, last week I did this and it wasn't annoying.
hmm
Why am I bothered by this today? Or why is
mm,
having this conversation really feeling like such a heavy lift right now when normally I talk about this freely? So I
right.
think the biggest thing is just noticing changes in how we feel about things because
hmm
either I mean it could lead to other things, but I think a lot of times it's an indicator that something has changed between then and now, right? If it's something you
hmm
always do, and maybe it is just something that I've been doing it for so long now, it just doesn't feed my soul anymore. And maybe you have to
Right.
think about that too, because again, that's draining for your energy. But
Hmm.
just being really attuned to what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And I'm going to mention the calendar on this because a
Yeah.
lot of people talk about journaling, and reflection is a big thing. At the end of the day and at the end of the week, I look back on what I got done in the day, more for me because I'm a tally keeper. And
Mm,
all the things we talked about at the beginning of the hour, I'm constantly pushing myself that I was supposed to get 5 things done today. I only get 4. So stay late and get that last one done, things like that. So I'm always looking back to figure out how I can be better about those things.
yeah.
One of those pieces is to think about, gosh, noticing the little things, noticing I was on that call today and I wasn't myself. Why wasn't I myself? What was going on? Was I just thinking about the other things? How can I be
Right.
better about that tomorrow? Just that constant tweaking.
Mm,
And I put it in my calendar, like all of my
right.
different events and all of my different things. If you go back in my calendar, there's little bullets and random notes and stuff like that. Some people can sit down and they journal, at the end of the day, they'll write long form, things like that. I've tried that
Hmm.
over the years. I was never a diary kid. So it feels uncomfortable for me to do it that way. So if I'm doing
Hmm.
bullets in my calendar, it feels very productive and work like.
Right.
Like I'm working. I'm not,
Hmm.
doing whatever needs to do, nothing like that. So
Yeah.
I would encourage you to take a look and see what feels different. And if something
Hmm.
continuously feels different, then perhaps it's falling into that lane of it's a draining thing and it needs to be
Mm,
considered and addressed.
yeah. I love that. That's such a great way to identify the before the drainage, essentially. I'm really impressed with that. I think that when it comes to that self-awareness piece, a very underrated um, activity is to stop and pause and go, how do I feel about this? Like you can feel that something's off. You might feel like maybe you're getting angry, maybe you're getting irritated, maybe you're sad, mad, I don't know, whatever the feeling is. But not enough of us will slow down enough to acknowledge it, to like go, I'm having feelings towards this activity or objective or whatever it is that they're working on.
Yeah.
And I love having that idea of having some kind of way to protect your energy. Like basically you're leading yourself. Right. Like that's really what it is you're becoming the leader you need to be in this moment. And by doing that, you're showing up for your future self in a really responsible and like intentional way. And that's where we start seeing that compound effect of all the efforts,
Yeah.
whether it's on your business or in your business or on yourself or, for your family, you start to see the compound effect of it 90 days later. So to do it today means that you're not going to be reacting in Q2. You'll be responsive in Q2, strategically engaged in Q2 because you spent Q1 focusing on how am I doing today? Check in, set on your calendar, 5-minute check in at noon every day, some kind of pulse check for yourself, but becoming your own leader is really what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Um, is the thing that makes you kind of walk. It's like you're faking it till you make it. That kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
You're dressing up as who you want to be. I
You'll
would
see
definitely be.
patterns too. I feel
Hmm.
like you see patterns if you look back, which can kind of be fun. Like if I go back
Hmm.
and I look at some of the things, you'll start to see patterns
Right.
and kind of figure, oh, I wrote that same thing like 4 times in a row. Maybe this is something that I should be thinking about. Maybe I should do more of this because I was
Right.
obviously super jazzed when I did this. I didn't
Hmm.
even notice that my cup was already overflowing, right? I didn't
Hmm.
even notice it because you're so caught up in the day to day. I think it forces us to slow down, like you said, and make sure that we're checking in and leading. I love that. Yes, leading yourself.
Yeah, leading yourself. That's so beautiful. It's neat to when you get permission to do something, even if you're giving yourself that permission. I feel like that's a very empowering experience because when we grow up, nobody teaches you the transition between everybody dictating your whole life to nobody even asks you how you're doing.
So
Nobody talks about
true.
that giant, that's a huge change of walking through life, and we don't
Yes.
really talk about it. But,
No,
as a person who is constantly doing inner work overall, leading myself is a skill set that I have been practicing for a decade because I realized nobody else was going to do it. I
Yeah.
gotta do it myself. But in return, that's given me so much more power and confidence. It allows me to strategically make decisions. It keeps me from burning out, and it helps me to not feel so overwhelmed by what I give on a day-to-day basis because I'm listening.
Yes.
I'm being proactive. I'm not being reactive. I'm stopping things before they start because it's not the life I'm designing for myself. And so by leading ourselves, we're really moving ourselves into a great direction. And then when somebody else leads to for you, that's the overflow, right? Like
Yeah.
bonus.
It's yes. Well, and I love that you mentioned decisions because I think that that's another thing, depending on how you grew up. I, I used when my nieces were young, my sister and I would hang out with them and we would make them decide where we were going to have for lunch because
Mhm.
we were never taught to we were never empowered to make decisions. So even as
Right.
grown-ups, I mean, now we're asking the children, like, well, what do you want for lunch? Because we couldn't decide. I don't know. You
Uh-huh.
decide, you decide, you decide. And as a business
Mhm.
owner, we're making decisions before we even put our feet on the floor, right? So
Yes,
leading yourself,
absolutely.
trying to figure out all of those decisions and giving yourself
Mhm.
permission to A, make the decision, and B,
Mhm.
make bad ones, make good ones, make mediocre
Mhm.
ones, and learn from them and embrace them and carry those forward. I mean, we're never going to make all of the right decisions all of the time. But
Yeah.
the beauty of being able to look back and see the patterns and see the different things that we're experiencing help to inform those decisions going forward. And as we get older,
Right.
obviously hopefully we get better and better at making decisions. But I don't know. I still make bad decisions. All of us, right? I feel like
Yeah.
I don't feel bad saying that out loud because I think that that's how we learn and we grow. Some things we decide to
Right.
do, it's like maybe that wasn't the best idea. It sounded great at the time, but
Yeah. I think it's important too that part of that self-leadership is that willingness and to be humble enough to take risks because it is humbling to take risks. You're probably going to fail.
yep,
Just flat out. At some point, if you're a risk taker, you're going to fall in some way, shape, or form. And that's scary for some people. Some people are so afraid of the potential of what could happen bad that the good that could happen doesn't get them motivated to move in that direction. And I'm going to say, like, let's flip the script a little bit, take
yeah,
the risk, especially if the risk you're taking is for the benefit of the company you're running, if it's for the benefit of your own life. um, take the risk and push yourself to making some out of the box decisions for your business, something that challenges you and gets you excited. Again, if you're having trouble being activated, um, but nothing that's going to be so intense that you just drop off and lose all of your energy and momentum. And finding that balance is tricky. I want to ask one more question before we hop off, and that's for Q1. What's one leadership concept that we would want our CEOs, to pay attention to help keep them strong in their year? What's something that they should be focused on this year?
oh boy. One thing I think from a and we'll stick with the self leadership thing, right? Because we have
Mhm.
to lead ourselves first as a CEO. I think it is finding your own consistency.
Mhm.
I know that that is one of the things that when I'm doing really well, I'm doing that really well. And when I'm not
Right.
doing that well, the ripple effect of my inconsistency is all over emotionally, physically, business, all of
Mhm.
that. But it means different things to different people, I think. Maybe it's consistently starting your hours at the same time. Find the routine or the strategy or the approach that works for you. I think that we are always looking for somebody to give us that script for how we should do things, but we don't tweak it to how it needs to work for us. And every single one of us is doing something a little bit different. I know in the
Yeah.
beginning I was looking for every framework, and we talked about a lot of things today, and all of these are really
Mhm.
helpful, but only if you take them and you adjust it or tweak it in such a way that you can be consistent at it and do it the way that will work for you, because then you'll be successful with it. Don't do it
Yeah.
my way or Jillian's way. Do it your
Right.
way.
Your
But
way.
all of these things are great
Hmm.
guidelines. But now you get to, and that's the beauty of it, right? You wouldn't move into my house and keep it exactly the same. You
Right.
would put up some different drapes and you might paint the walls a little bit different, or maybe
Hmm.
you want a different throw pillow on your couch, right? So
Hmm.
move into your business and personalize
Right.
it and do a little bit of yours consistency your way.
Yeah. I love that. That's so important. Make it your own.
Yes.
But
Yes.
don't
No one
reinvent the
size fits
wheel if it's
all.
already made for you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's such good advice. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for hopping on with me this morning. I really appreciate it. If you're watching live with us, hello, say hi. If you have questions, feel free to comment. And if you're watching the replay, let us know. Um, I think that I'm trying to think if we have any announcements. Oh, if you're not a part of the sisterhood, for anyone watching, if you're not a part of the sisterhood and you're a woman CEO and you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend you checking out our website and looking at the community that we've built, because we have over 100 women who are just phenomenal, who get together and inspire one another and encourage one another and brainstorm and problem solve together. And if you're feeling kind of alone in your journey, I highly recommend hanging out with me and Kelly and the other 100 and something people that are part of the sisterhood, because it is absolutely worth it just to be around like-minded individuals and to gain like the resources of networking, connection, and actual tangible resources we give away. There's so much that we can give you. So if you're struggling, come hang out with us in the sisterhood. Um, but anyway, all right. Well, we'll be on Wednesday, or I'll be on Wednesday. Kelly, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to everyone later.
You too. Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye.